You still feeling sleepy? Perhaps you didn't get enough Z's last night. You're going to make yourself sick. John Truitt is a sleep expert and is our guest right now on 710 KURV. Good morning, John. How are you?
I'm well. How are you guys this morning?
Good. There was a recent article that made mention of how lack of sleep, not enough sleep, will compromise your immune system and will make you sick. And at a time when people are battling the flu, and it's that time of the year, and there was another report that said that the flu is barely ramping up right now because of the warmer summer, you definitely need to get your Z's. How does sleep play a factor in protecting your immune system? Can you explain?
Well, your immune system is a very complicated system, so there are obviously a lot of factors that go into play. There are a number of studies that have been conducted over an extensive period that show that there's a correlation in between your immune system and lack of sleep. Specifically, the T cell tends to go down if you're sleep deprived, which is indicative of you being more likely to get sick, and if you're sick, having less of an ability to fight off infection.
So how much is enough?
Generally, people need about 8 hours of sleep per night.
That's not realistic, pal.
No,
not in today's
not
world.
No, not in this business.
It ain't going to happen.
That's absolutely right. And in your business, you guys fall into a category of folks that would do extremely well with a power nap during the afternoon. So a 20-minute nap is actually something that could be greatly beneficial for people like you who have a disjointed sleep pattern.
Yeah, I find it fascinating how my buddy across the desk, Tim Sullivan, after the 9 a.m. news at around 9:10, can lock his fingers behind his head, raise his arms, and just sit there with his arms raised and fall asleep.
No, I'm not sleeping. I'm lost in thought. I'm lost in very deep thought. So let's get that straight right now.
I see. So you're preparing the day's news.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm planning in my mind the rest of the day.
I'll just admit it. You know what? I pull the truck over. I go park at HEB. I'll sleep for 20 minutes. That way I don't kill anybody on the road. I have to. It used to not be that way. I was much stronger when I was 10 years younger, but now, dude, I definitely need that 15, 20-minute shutdown. Otherwise, I fear that I am going to kill somebody in that truck.
Yeah. Mr. Truitt, you mentioned that a lack of sleep leads to obesity and high blood pressure. More, specifically, how does that happen? If you're spending more time awake, aren't you more active and
Well, there's a correlation in between how much exercise we get, how we eat, if we're eating healthy or eating unhealthy, and sleeping. And that's actually known as the triumvirate of health. And Dr. William DeMint came up with that a number of years ago, and the three tend to play off each other. Specifically, what can happen if you're sleep deprived, or more to the point, have obstructive sleep apnea, you can have increased cortisol response, which really traumatizes your body, and it causes you to put on weight. So that's specifically one way that sleep and weight gain can play off each other. And they tend to be a cycle that just obviously if we're exercising, we're eating healthy, we're getting proper sleep, you kind of create a positive cycle, whereas if you're not sleeping properly, you're less likely to exercise, you're probably more prone to eat poorly, and create kind of a downward spiral.
Wow, so you've made the scientific connection between a lack of sleep and disease.
Well, that's probably overstating it. That there is a definitive connection that you would go out and say this is exactly how it works. But there is a lot of indicative evidence and a lot of studies that have been conducted that really show that that's the way that it works.
So many factors go into a good night's rest. I get the chance, to sell the sleep number bet, for example. For me, that made a difference a long time ago. And that usually it starts with something like that, but there are other factors like making sure that you sleep in a quiet place, in a cool place, shutting down early, perhaps exercising or not before sleep. There are so many factors that go into play when it comes to getting a good night's rest.
Yeah, absolutely, and you hit quite a few of them there. I mean, making sure that the room is dark, making sure the room is quiet. You actually want to make sure that it's a little bit cool. That also can help you sleep. Exercise, again, is great, but you don't want to do it too late in the day. You really want to avoid strenuous exercise anywhere about 2 hours before you want to go to bed. So it's better to exercise earlier in the day if you can do it.
Hey, John, do you have a website?
We do, www.simplesleepservices.com. And if you go to our blog on that site, there's a lot of information regarding general sleep, snoring, obstructive sleep apnea, all kinds of different topics.
Awesome. All right, John, thank you much. John Truitt, sleep expert on 710 KURV.